sir. The DNA evidence confirms these elongated skulls possess non-terrestrial genetic markers.
Archaeologists have uncovered a hidden chamber deep beneath the jungles of Mexico, containing remains that rewrite the ancient story of the Maya. What if the origins of this civilization reach back more than 12,000 years, far beyond history, and connect to a DNA sequence unlike anything science has ever seen? This isn't just a discovery about lost people. It's the unveiling of a long-buried secret embedded in human biology itself, one that glows, codes celestial knowledge, and hints at an otherworldly connection lurking beneath the surface of human history. The hidden chamber discovery. Deep beneath the thick canopy of the Guatemalan jungle, archaeologists stumbled upon something that defied all prior expectations. Near the massive ancient city of El Mirador, one of the largest known Mayan complexes, ground-penetrating radar revealed a perfectly circular void buried over 40 feet below the surface. Natural caves rarely form with such geometric precision, sparking curiosity and raising more questions than answers. Initial assumptions gave way as researchers began to dig, uncovering stone blocks so smooth and precisely cut that they seemed impossible to come from a pre-industrial society. These stones, bound by a mysterious adhesive harder than modern cement, enclosed a sealed doorway carved from a massive slab of limestone. What made it even more puzzling were the engravings, symbols that bore no resemblance to Mayan script or any known ancient language. Some shapes reminded experts of pre-Olmec markings, while others seemed utterly alien, unlike anything seen in the Americas or anywhere else. Instruments used by the team began to malfunction near the slab, detecting unusually low magnetic readings as if metal were embedded within the stone itself. After days of painstaking work, the slab was finally breached. A burst of pressurized air escaped, revealing a circular chamber roughly 23 feet across. The walls of this interior space were coated in a black glass-like substance that resembled obsidian, but behaved strangely. It absorbed light instead of reflecting it. This gave the chamber an eerie darkness, enhanced by the cold air several degrees cooler than the surrounding jungle, and an unnerving silence that seemed unnatural. At the center of this chamber sat three ancient individuals on stone pedestals, cross-legged and surrounded by jade ornaments, polished metallic discs, and scattered crystal fragments. The condition of the remains was extraordinary, perfectly preserved without decay, despite the tropical climate. While the Maya are known for the practice of artificial head shaping, these three individuals displayed skulls elongated in a way that went beyond cultural modification. The bone density and symmetry suggested that these skull shapes were genetic, not artificial. Radiocarbon testing on organic materials in the chamber stunned the research community. The remains dated back approximately 12,400 years, thousands of years older than the known timeline of the Maya civilization or even the Olmecs, who influenced much of Mesoamerican history. This finding stretches the timeline for advanced culture in the Americas to a period long before recorded history. It challenged established archaeological and anthropological understanding, suggesting an origin story far more complex and mysterious than previously thought. Despite the shocking age, the most profound secret was still to come. Once the remains were taken away for DNA analysis, the full depth of their implications began to surface. This discovery wasn't simply about ancient people, it was the opening chapter of a much deeper story hidden in their very biology. What had been uncovered was far from ordinary, and its mysteries would soon reveal a connection to something unlike anything humankind had encountered before. This chamber was not just a tomb or a crypt. It was a doorway to a past that runs parallel to our accepted history, hinting at ancient knowledge encoded not in stone or paper, but in the very strands of life itself. The DNA extracted from these remarkable remains would soon become the core of an unprecedented genetic mystery, catching scientists completely off guard. Unusual DNA and the obsidian anomaly. The initial DNA tests from the chamber's inhabitants began routinely enough. Their mitochondrial DNA fit within haplogroup A2, a lineage common among indigenous peoples of the Americas, reinforcing a connection to local populations. Yet, as geneticists conducted deeper sequencing, they encountered something no one expected. Distinct regions of the genome refused to align with any known human DNA. Initially suspected as contamination, the anomalous sequences repeated consistently across all three individuals, dismissing that possibility. These unusual sequences were hidden within the so-called junk DNA, the non-coding regions once thought to have no function. However, this segment defied assumptions. Upon closer inspection, the sequence revealed a precise, repeating mathematical pattern that took geneticists by surprise. It displayed ratios closely matching the Fibonacci progression, a sequence seen in nature's most elegant patterns but never before detected as an embedded code within human DNA. Labeled sequence X473, this anomaly seemed part human, yet distinctly something else. It wasn't a random mutation or common genetic variation. Parallel tests at a different university confirmed that the DNA strands emitted faint biophotonic activity. They glowed under ultraviolet light at wavelengths mimicking certain bioluminescent marine species. How and why ancient human remains from a jungle chamber would demonstrate this property remains deeply puzzling. When researchers compared the X473 sequence against every global genetic database, no match emerged, not from any known species, ancient or modern. The hybrid nature of the DNA suggested something synthetic or engineered. Then came another astonishing breakthrough. The geometric arrangement of base pairs in the DNA mirrored the spiral and star-like glyphs engraved on the chamber door. This was no coincidence. It was intentional design. The builders of this chamber, dating back over 12,000 years, seem to have encoded sacred symbols directly into the biology of the people themselves. More than preserving knowledge in stone, they embedded it in living tissue, turning human DNA into a form of information storage. A senior geneticist proposed a radical hypothesis. This junk DNA segment was not just genetic material, but a biological hard drive carrying non-biological encoded data. When portions of the anomalous DNA were translated into binary code, the output revealed repeating numerical constants related to precise astronomical cycles, specifically Venus's orbital period relative to Earth. This discovery suggested the chamber wasn't merely a burial site, but an ancient archive, with the individuals themselves acting as living libraries, preserving cosmic secrets through their genes. This revelation challenges everything about our understanding of genetics and ancient civilizations. It implies advanced genetic engineering capabilities existed millennia before modern science, representing a bridge between biology, astronomy, and technology in a way never before imagined. If this DNA serves as a biological archive, then its story must continue in the living descendants who carry traces of this ancient legacy even today. The living library hypothesis. The idea that human DNA could function as a form of data storage may sound like science fiction, but the evidence points to something eerily close to that reality. The sequence X473 isn't merely a genetic anomaly. It acts like a living library carrying embedded knowledge that transcends traditional biology. This concept rewrites how we view DNA, not just as a blueprint for life, but as a vessel for encoded information intentionally placed by an advanced intelligence. Scientists tested the isotopic composition in the bones of the chamber's inhabitants, finding unusual calcium signatures that suggested they lived in a different atmospheric condition than today's region, possibly with higher oxygen levels over 10,000 years ago. This hinted that the individuals belonged to a lost branch of humanity, or perhaps a lineage genetically altered far earlier than mainstream history records. They may have been custodians of an inherited cosmic message. The deeper mystery grew when geneticists compared the sequence to modern populations around the globe and made a surprising discovery. The X473 sequence was not extinct. Instead, it persisted, dormant but present, within isolated indigenous populations of the Yucatan highlands. Known locally as the guardians of the old blood, these communities have lived apart from modern civilization for centuries, preserving ancient customs and oral traditions. DNA testing confirmed faint traces of X473 in a small fraction of individuals from these areas, providing a direct genetic link from the chamber's occupants to the present day. Laboratory studies on cells containing the sequence revealed accelerated tissue repair and unusually high neural activity related to memory. These traits might explain the remarkable health resilience and cognitive abilities observed in these groups. Anthropologists reported that village elders spoke of a sacred responsibility to keep the old blood pure and avoid intermarriage with outsiders. Rather than prejudice, this was framed as a protective measure to maintain a critical genetic balance. It was an unconscious preservation of an ancient code embedded within their very biology. The glyphs on the ancient chamber's door, once enhanced and shared with the elders, were immediately recognized. These spiral symbols, called the breath of the sky, connect the lineage's genetic memory to a time long before recorded Maya history. They represent a living tradition of encoded knowledge passed down across millennia. Further research found fragments of the sequence diffusely spread in disparate populations, from the South Pacific to the Northern Andes and even Arctic groups, without a common evolutionary thread. The origins defied conventional genetic models, appearing more like a deliberate insertion at various points across human history. This scattered distribution suggests a much larger system at play, one in which biological information and ancient technology exist as interconnected parts of a vast design still hidden beneath the surface of our world. While the genetic mystery deepens, another astonishing discovery nearby reveals the possible hardware counterpart to this biological data, an ancient machine pulsing with energy beneath the jungle floor. Modern connections to ancient DNA. The story of the ancient sequence X473 did not end in the past. It echoes into the present, carried by a small number of people still living in the rugged highlands of the Yucatan Peninsula. These isolated communities, tucked away from modern urban centers, have preserved traditions and ways of life that seem untouched by time. When researchers returned to these villages to test DNA samples, they found faint but undeniable traces of the same elusive sequence that dates back over 12,000 years. This discovery stunned geneticists and anthropologists alike. The sequence appeared not as a faded relic, but as a living fragment within descendants who unknowingly guard a genetic legacy of immense complexity and mystery. Medical studies revealed that cells containing sequence X473 exhibited faster tissue regeneration and heightened neural activity linked to memory. It seemed these individuals possessed biological traits that set them apart, possibly conferring enhanced healing and cognitive capacities. The cultural impact proved just as remarkable. Village elders spoke in hushed tones about their role as guardians of the old blood, a title passed down through centuries of oral history. They warned against intermarriage with outsiders, not from prejudice, but to protect what they understood, on some primal level, to be a fragile balance. This insight suggested an ancient awareness that these genes carried vital information or power they could not afford to dilute. When shown detailed photos of the chamber's spiral glyphs, many elders recognized the images instantly. They called them the breath of the sky, an ancestral symbol linking their genetic memory back through time before the rise of the Maya civilization. This was more than folklore. It was a living tradition encoded in blood and story, preserved against the eroding effects of history and modernity. Extended genetic sampling found microfragments of sequence X473 scattered sporadically across distant populations, from remote South Pacific islanders to highland Andean communities, and even some Arctic groups. These occurrences defied evolutionary patterns, lacking a clear common ancestor or migration path. Instead, the pattern suggested sporadic insertion, as if the sequence had been carefully placed in different groups across time and space. Such widespread yet isolated presence raised profound questions. Was sequence X473 a genetic anomaly that emerged independently, or was it an intentional addition, a form of ancient bioengineering spread among select populations? Could it indicate the remnants of a global system, far older and more complex than we currently understand, linking disparate human groups through concealed genetic code? The implication is stunning. Humans may carry within them living records of ancient knowledge that transcend conventional genealogy, histories coded into DNA rather than written texts. The living descendants unknowingly embody a genetic memory, guardians of a message from a prehistoric era. Beneath these genetic mysteries lies an even more extraordinary discovery, an ancient machine buried deep beneath the jungle canopy that seems to resonate with the very DNA it's connected to. The metallic ring and its pulse. Just a few miles from the ancient chamber, remote sensing teams uncovered a perfectly symmetrical ring structure buried under layers of ash and limestone, measuring nearly 300 feet across. This was no ordinary natural formation or ceremonial ruin. Core samples revealed a composition of titanium, vanadium, and iridium, metals that require temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius to process. Such advanced metallurgy is far beyond the capability of any known pre-industrial society. The ring's surface was fused with volcanic glass and metallic particles, an unmistakable signature of exposure to extreme heat. Yet what stunned scientists most wasn't just the material itself. It was the evidence that this structure was still active. Electromagnetic readings detected a faint but steady pulse, repeating every 11 minutes like clockwork. The low-frequency signal suggested a stable, controlled energy source humming quietly in the depths of the Earth. Attempts to trace the pulse deep into the ground revealed signals deeper than current instruments could reach, suggesting this was more than a surface installation. It was some kind of beacon or device extending far underground. Theories swirled. Was it an astronomical instrument, an energy generator, or something even more advanced and enigmatic? When researchers analyzed the pulse frequency, they converted it into a numerical ratio and discovered something truly astounding. The electromagnetic pattern from the ring perfectly matched the mathematical ratio encoded in the X473 DNA sequence found in the ancient chamber. This was no coincidence. Two separate phenomena, one metallic and one biological, were communicating in the same precise language. The connection implied that this buried machine and the genetic sequence were two halves of one system, resonating at the same frequency. The technology and the DNA were intertwined components of an ancient design still operational after 12 millennia. It was as if the machine was talking directly to the special bloodline, or perhaps even powering it. This revelation opened terrifying possibilities. Could the people harboring sequence X473 be living components of a biological network designed to interface with this machine? Might they serve as a biological power source, a kind of living battery sustaining the device's low hum? Or even more unsettling, could the ring be sending instructions through electromagnetic waves, activating changes within those who carry this DNA? Looking back at artifacts from the chamber, particularly a fractured jade tablet, shed more light. The tablet's glyphs, once translated, revealed star maps not from today's night sky, but from exactly 12,000 years ago, a time aligned with geological upheavals marking the Younger Dryas. The ancient tablet pointed to the Pleiades star cluster, a site of Maya fascination, but also to a cosmic corridor called Chian Hall, or the Sky River. This star map described Chian Hall not as a destination, but as a stable wormhole or cosmic highway, linking our solar system to interstellar dust within the Taurus constellation, roughly 1,500 light-years away. The tablet's text spoke of the Bakab Chan, those who came in light, the sky people whose arrival coincided with a world on the edge of collapse. The metallic ring's persistent pulse and the DNA sequence's encoding of cosmic secrets suggest a technological and biological legacy left behind by these ancestral sky people, waiting quietly beneath the jungle for the future to uncover its purpose. The Sky People and Cosmic Origins. The story takes a cosmic turn when the ancient jade tablet from the chamber is finally deciphered. Rather than illustrating familiar stars, it reveals a night sky from 12,000 years ago, the exact era of the Younger Dryas, a sudden global climate event marked by cataclysmic cooling. This tablet points not only to the Pleiades, a star cluster revered by the Maya, but also to a mysterious cosmic corridor called Chian Hall, or the Sky River. Far from a simple star map, Chian Hall is described as a stable wormhole, a kind of interstellar highway spanning approximately 1,500 light-years within the Taurus constellation. The tablet's text references the Bakab Chan, translated as those who came in light. These sky people are said to have arrived at a time when the Earth was on the brink of collapse. They did not come directly from Taurus, but traveled through it along the Sky River, bringing knowledge and intervention as the planet faced existential threat. Their presence marks a moment of profound change, bridging celestial phenomena and human history. Scientists and historians speculate that these sky people were not just visitors or teachers, but genetic engineers who actively intervened in humanity's evolution. Faced with a dying world, they may have been unable to save the planet, but aimed to preserve a fragment of life and knowledge for the future. They created the massive metallic ring structure buried deep in the jungle as a beacon and a trigger for their genetic legacy. This beacon, functioning in tandem with the unique genetic signature X473, suggests a system designed to remain dormant and hidden, humming quietly while awaiting activation. The Sky People engineered a bloodline specifically to safeguard this technology, embedding an alarm clock within DNA, a genetic message that could one day reawaken with its full power and purpose. The arrival of these cosmic visitors and their work in genetic editing imply a continuity between ancient extraterrestrial knowledge and terrestrial civilization. The enigmatic X473 sequence acts like a key, unlocking not just inherited biological traits, but aligning with advanced astronomical concepts encoded in the stars above. This challenges traditional narratives of human origins and civilization's rise. The Sky People's story presents a massive puzzle. They came at a pivotal historical moment, designing a system far beyond simple cultural development. Their legacy is both biological and technological, hidden within human genetics and physically embodied by alien technology beneath the Earth. Whether they remain here or await return is a question fraught with implications for humanity's future. This discovery alters everything we thought we knew about the Maya and human history. It reveals a hidden chapter where genetics, astronomy, and advanced technology intertwine, suggesting that our ancestors were part of a cosmic inheritance. If you found this exploration eye-opening, be sure to like and subscribe to uncover more mysteries hidden in our past.